I always got that impression of you, Gabe. Did it start? Yes, it started. Awesome. Next up is CV. My main disagreement with CVs, but I have no disagreement with CVs. Anyway, people still ask for them. People still can't get their head around the idea that the CV is a dreadful way of communicating information about a human being. Point. This is a GitHub CV, which was invented by a Makers Academy student as they're graduating. And the idea is it's a README in a repo called CV. So you have the, because I'm incredibly generous, I've done it for you. So Makers Academy /CV will take you to an amazing thing that you can fork and edit. And if you want to go crazy, you can even submit a pull request for me to review your CV. How clever is that? I don't understand what any of those words mean. I'm the only guy in the building that doesn't code. It's great. Yeah, anyway, so here it is. The reason why we write a GitHub CV is so that you don't have to do much talking to me when it comes to me trying to get you a job. So the idea is that if a company comes along and says, oh my God, I'm really interested in this sort of a person, and I go, oh, you know what, you'd be great for that, be so-and-so. And I just send them your GitHub, your CV URL, and they get to have a look at you, they get to have a look at what's going on, you get to click around, explore your GitHub, and I didn't even need to get in touch with you to say, please, can you submit a CV for such and such. It's like a first introduction thing. Now, there are obviously limitations to that. The main limitation being you then have to write a generic CV, which means it's just like firing off a generic CV to any company. Has anyone ever got a job out of that? I don't think so. So that's the limitation, is that you can't tailor it to a specific job. But what it does mean is that if you're on holiday, if you have decided that you don't like Slack anymore, or you have decided to just turn your phone off, or you're dead, all of these things, I can still get you a job. Or try to, anyway. So there will be occasions when I say, hey, there's this job. If you want to write a bespoke CV for that job, please do. If you don't, I'll send your GitHub CV. Or you can say, please send my GitHub CV. It's the best CV I've ever written. Because that's how I'm hoping, because this is the stuff I'm going to be reviewing with you. When you come back to me and go, hey, Will, will you have a look at my CV? I'm going to look at this, because you should use this as the base for any tailored CV that you then write. Because this is what is known as a functional CV. Not like functional programming, thankfully. This is a CV where the focus is on your skills, not on your experience. This is very good for career changes, which I've been told that's what you are. So you have a skill, and then you have evidence for the skill. Skill, evidence for the skill, skill, evidence for the skill. That's simple, straightforward. And then you have skill and evidence for skill, and then you go, these are the ones that I care about the most, and you put them at the top. And on your GitHub CV, you know, 3, 5 skills, something like that. One of them will be junior web development or something similar. And then when you're applying to a job that's in the financial industry or something, then you go, I'm going to look back through all of the skills that I've developed, and I'm going to put some, so that's when you create a bespoke CV, is where you look at, you interchange the skills, which you've pre-written, so it doesn't take a long time, hopefully, anyway. So, some well, I'll come back to the personal profile bit in a minute. So, evidence of a skill. I achieved something, an achievement. I achieved this. One thing that I really hate on CVs, and this is very much my opinion on this, because no one else in the world seems to agree with me, but then I think they're doing it all wrong, is the idea that when you write on your CV, you write a verb, you know, like managed 7 people. I don't care what you did. I care what results you got. You managed 7 people to what end? You managed 7 people and they all quit? Because that's the same as you manage 7 people to the growth of that team, you know, high NPS on your team members or whatever. I want to see a result, particularly numbers. People love numbers. I achieved something. What was the result? What wouldn't have happened if you weren't there? What difference did you make? That's interesting to an employer. I contributed to the growth of, ooh, we all love growth. Yes. I made this number bigger by this amount. I achieved job. I built this, made this, broke this, fixed this. Things you did, actual things that you did, which, you know, you've been doing for 12 weeks now, 11 weeks, 10 weeks, sort of. I built this, look at this thing I made. Hey! Especially as a junior developer, all they want to see is the stuff you've made. Most of the stuff, this stuff that I talk about that I say is really important, no one ever looks at. They go, oh, what have they built? What have they made? And we'll come later in the day to your READMEs on the repos that you're proud of and what you communicate there. But here is the most important one, the link to evidence. I say, I'm good at public speaking. Yeah, I am. See, look, in my example, which is my thing here, I'm good at public speaking. Here's me at TEDx, an example. That's an example, that's a real thing. So I don't have to tell you a story, I don't have to do anything. I don't actually have to do anything other than just show you. I show you, and then this is me. Here, look, I made a thing in Ruby. Yay. The Hartle tutorial, the first iteration of Makers Academy, that 10 weeks, that was 10 weeks going with you through the Hartle tutorial. There you go, that's what it is, Twitter. Awesome. Do I have my login details? No, I don't. Anyway, yeah, it's a Twitter clone. Oops. So yeah, evidence of stuff. And the reason why you put evidence is because why do you write CV? Anyone? Yes, that's step 1. For the end result, why are people looking at your CV? Is to give them the slightest bit of confidence in the fact that you might be able to do the job that they have. Confidence, evidence, confidence. They go well together. Evidence, but evidence, achievements. Don't tell me about what you did, tell me about what you achieved. There you go. Then afterwards, list your education, because it's Makers Academy and that's what's relevant to the job. And then afterwards, write a list of your experience in previous jobs, because when I left that out the last time round, I had a lot of employers come back and go, no, I mean, they're great, really interesting CVs, but you know, where's their list of work experience? It's irrelevant. Their work experience is in a completely different industry. Why do you want to know their work experience? Oh, well, you know, it's nice to know. No, but that's not an answer. Why do you want to know? Oh, you know, it'll be nice to see it on their CV. So write a list of your experience. There you go. So go back to the top. This is my favorite template for the personal profile, introduction, whatever you want to call it. There are many other templates. This is my favorite, and I'll tell you why it's my favorite. So the first sentence is who and what you are. The second sentence is what you've achieved, and the third sentence is what you want. It's really, really easy to understand by the end of that paragraph where you fit in the realm of job applicants. I will give you my example one. You can read it, I'm going to read it out to you. Just raise your hand when you're finished. You're all going to get jobs first. You can read faster. Okay. Some comments about this. The first one, it has some humor in it. That's because I don't want to work with people who think that that's a stupid thing to say. I just don't want to work with those people. It's a really nice way of filtering things out. I put personality into my CVs because I don't want to work with somebody who thinks that that's a bad idea. Secondly, I'm being somewhat humble about my arrogance, basically. Then I say some things that I did, which is great. This is weird, isn't it? And this, it's like, people like this in startups, like that you say I failed, and also, so I say that. And then the last sentence, well, who's going to tell me what's wrong with the last sentence? It's even worse than that, actually. It's great. I specifically wrote it to illustrate a point.
It's very vague.
What does it say? What does it actually say?
It says nothing.
Nothing, exactly. Be careful. That's really easy to do. It's really easy to go, yes, this stuff. Oh, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. I'd like to anchor my specialism. What's your specialism? What does anchoring it mean? And actually, what? No, that doesn't mean anything. And find an organization that I can add exceptional value to. Well, if I don't want to do that, I'm probably going to be a bad employee. So that's a given. And that comes back to another point. When writing on your CV stuff, just check for a second and think, would an incredible person write that? Or would an incredible person take that for granted? Attention to detail. If you don't have attention to detail, I don't want you anywhere near my company. Don't draw attention to the fact that you have attention to detail, because that's like saying, hey, look, it's unusual that I have attention to detail. No, everyone who is any good at whatever they do has attention to detail. Don't write it. Don't write it. Write the things that make you unique and interesting and someone that I want to work with. Because really, when I read your CV, I want to say, you know what? This bland, your name person with generic skills in this example, I want to work with you. I really want to work with you. I'm going to look down in here and go, oh, you know, I look at the order in which I've written this, by the way. I didn't write the tech first. That's just by the way, is because when I talk to employers, I say we teach attitude and then methodology and then tech in order of importance. So that's the order I wrote it. Anyway, but no, I want to work with you. I want to go, hey, look, here's a little bit of humor maybe, but actually, you know what? They're really good at stuff. Great. I just realized I haven't put my experience in afterwards. See? Just constantly getting on with it. Right. I've got a lot more to say about CVs, which will come when you have written your CV, and then you come back to me and you say, hey, Will, what do you think? And I apologize. My method of feedback is to tell you everything that's wrong with it and then say how brilliant it is. That's just the way around I do it. Yeah, so any questions about CVs before you all fork the repo and have a go? Yes.
Are there particular skills that would be best to highlight for tech companies? Like, for example, you put public speaking, which probably is not that beneficial.
Absolutely. I will be able to better answer that on Thursday. What I've done with all of the companies who are coming on Friday morning is I've given them a very detailed questionnaire about their jobs, which I'll give you an example of. Is this coming on here? Yes. So things like, I've asked them what they want you to deliver, what makes someone good at this job, and quite a lot of the time when people talk about junior developers, they talk about ability to work on a team, strong communication skills, all that sort of stuff. They tend to say, hey, look, you know, if they're a Makers Academy graduate, we're not looking at their technical competence. And like, really don't say that to people, because they just spent 12 weeks working really hard on their technical competence. No, what they're interested in is the fact that you're not veteran coders, You're human beings with life experience, with commercial experience, with very, very high communication levels. But having said that, there's a certain amount of sense to the tailored CV that you should read their job description and match what they say they want. I find that a dreadful hack in terms of jobs. The problem is that if you ask somebody what they want, what they tell you is usually not actually what they want. And the stuff that they look for and all that sort of stuff. So it's difficult. I would focus on what makes you amazing. What makes you different? What makes you better than everyone else in this room? What makes you better than everyone else in this world? What makes you unique, special? All those lovely words. That means you actually have to do introspection. I apologize about that, by the way. I push on you a lot of, you have to think deeply about what you want, who you are, all that sort of stuff. A job, probably wouldn't talk about that stuff so much, but because really what you're here is you're changing your life, I'm going to talk a bit more about life and emotions and desires and all that sort of stuff. Any questions about CV?
Never had any job experience before. How did you approach that?
You still focus on the stuff that makes you different, interesting, special. So
if I like, I don't know, if I like anything I could have done, like not job related or study related, whatever, I could just add it in.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the stuff, the evidence stuff. Oh no, that's the wrong one. In the evidence stuff, none of this has to be job specific. Like, but for most of you, where you will have got your experience and your evidence and so on will be in jobs. But this could be the badger you made out of wire when you were 4. You know, anything that you've achieved, anything that you've done, anything that you've tried, anything that you've failed, anything that you've broken, that you've fixed, that you've talked about, that you've spoken to, anything you've ever done could be a reason for me to believe that you'd be able to do something. Or be upfront and say, I have no work experience, I don't know what I'm good at, I don't know what I like doing, I want to find out, I have an idea, it's this kind of a direction. And then in your cover letter, you focus on why you want to find that out with that company and make it really personal. CV stuff? Yeah.
Do we really want to be putting these prototype CVs up on our GitHubs? We're going to be embarrassing ourselves and saying we've got no skills and I'm good at badger making. I know it's good to be honest and open, but like, do you want us to seriously do that, or should we do loads of those jobs? Do we get something that actually?
If you want, make it really for private, but then think about it in this sense. Who is ever going to land on that page? Really? Why? Sorry, I should explain this. I'm not going to give this link, this URL to anyone until you've said you're proud of it. So if someone accidentally comes across it, they'll see a work in progress.
Well, it's more that you've been saving it and iterations of it and that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm going to do it in rough, I think, before putting it on.
Okay. Yeah, do it however you want, but just remember that that's not entirely true. I might send it if I consider it to be good enough without your saying you're proud of it, because some people tend to be more perfectionist than others. But really, most of the time, I'm going to wait until you say, show this to people, and then I'll show it to people. Which, by the way, you'll potentially, you're going to be meeting employers on Friday morning. Now, the way that works is on Friday afternoon or over the weekend or Monday morning, I will be saying, who is interested in the job at blah? You say yes. I add you to the private group for that company. And usually, unless they've already given us a tech test, I'll then be sending your GitHub off. Now, I might be on Monday morning sending off your GitHub and saying, ignore the CV, that's a work in progress, just look at their code. Or you might have got it all sorted by then. Or you say, actually, look, you know what, well, I'd rather you send just my CV that I've had pre-prepared, all that sort of stuff. But one of the reasons for going through this exercise is to get you thinking about what you look like to employers now that you didn't 3-4 months ago. So yeah, by all means do it in private, in draft, in rough, whatever. This week particularly, this sort of stuff is actually more for your benefit than it is for anything else. Okay, I'm going to do an anonymous poll, which is a thing that I do a lot. The point being is that if I ask you a question and you start raising hands, you might influence other people's decision to raise their hands. So we do it with our eyes closed. Well, you do it with your eyes closed. I have to look because otherwise I can't count hands. So everyone close your eyes. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. You raise your hand and you put your hand down. Who feels that they are ready for a job as a junior software developer? Close your eyes. Okay, hands down. Who feels that they could potentially be better at getting a job by the end of this week? Who feels that they reckon they could get a job right now? Who feels like an imposter? That's good, okay. Who gets nervous in interview? Okay. Any more questions I have? Who is concerned about the fact that previously you've been collaborative, but now there is a sense of competition? Not a lot of you have thought about that. I'll give you a second to think about it. My ideal situation is that you can put your hands down. My ideal situation is that you are all going to be competing for jobs where there are so many jobs that it doesn't matter that you're competing for jobs. Unfortunately, at the moment, there are lots of people looking for work and not many jobs. So you will be in competition. That riles some people, that doesn't rile other people. Unsurprisingly, the people who aren't as confident are the ones who are riled about it. All I can say to you is, don't worry about it, because the more you help each other get jobs, the better everyone will be at getting jobs. And the competitive element is something that I'm trying to eradicate. It's still there, but don't worry about it, because so many, I think it's, okay, you can open your eyes and look at the numbers that I drew on the board. 25 people roughly in every cohort. One person on average doesn't want a job as a junior developer. They go and start their own business, they go back to the job that they were doing before, or they just go, you know what, this coding crap isn't for me. So of the 24 people who are looking for work, about 2 of them don't ever get a job, or take ages to get a job, like 6 months as a junior software developer. They might go and get a job doing something else. Like, for example, recently, someone graduated from this course and got a job as a salesperson, which is the job that he'd been doing for most of his life prior to that. Except this time, he was a technical salesperson, and he was earning a lot more money. So 22 people who are now looking for work and then get work, probably 8 of them, roughly, on average, get a job by themselves. 14 of them get a job through Makers Academy. 4 of those, on average, we don't make any money out of. So 10 of you will make money for this company because you got a job on fees, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Those are the rough numbers that we work with. What's important is this number. Most of you will get a job within the next 3 months. So don't worry about the competition. Don't worry. It feels weird that you're suddenly competitive with a load of people who previously you've been extremely collaborative with. I recommend that you try as hard as you can to continue to be extremely collaborative with each other. Apart from on tech tests, because you don't want to work with other people on tech tests because then they're not evaluating your work, they're evaluating collectively your work, although I am trying to find a way of doing collaborative tech tests because you work collaboratively whilst you're studying, you work collaboratively in the real world. Why does it suddenly become individual in the middle? But anyway, that's a future project. Any more questions about CVs before you get on with it? By the way, you're all super confident in yourself, which is great. I'm super confident in you. I've been getting lots of really good feedback on your abilities, but your personalities as well. You're not just your technical capability, but you're going to interview well. You're all going to get jobs very quickly, I think. So don't worry about it. Okay. There it is. Pull it out. Play with it. Have a go. Doesn't matter if you get it right, doesn't matter if you get it wrong, just have a go. Any questions? I'm here. I'm going to be here all day, probably sitting in this room actually, for you guys. And then we'll do another thing around keeping your GitHub clean in the next session. Thank you.